Well, now I would like to introduce Mr. Austin Oduor, who is the president of GACOPA. Kindly take the podium.
Thank you so much. The chief guest, the former Minister of State in charge of primary health care, and is also the Executive Director for Human Resource, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Rwanda, Professor Philip Cotton, Professor Lisa Alexander of the George Washington University, Professor Straker, the President of the Physician Assistant Educators Association, and the President of the National Commission for Certification of Physician Assistants, all delegates present, chairmen of all associations here present, I would like to tell you good morning. Personally, me, I don't write speeches, so I'll be very short and brief. I'm Austin Oduor, I'm the President of the Global Association of Clinical Officers and Physician Associates, and I'm so much delighted to be here. I want to thank the Ministry of Health for giving us this. I want to thank first the University of Rwanda for accepting to host the second international conference. And I want to thank the Ministry of Health for taking us through this journey. You can see the way everything has been put here. GACOPA is a young body, and if it was not the Ministry of Health, if it was not the George Washington University, if it was not the Physician Assistant Educators Association, National Commission for Certification of Physician Assistants, and all those logos you see there, including all delegates that are present here, this event would have not been a success. The main reason why we came up with this event, or the main reason why GACOPA was formed, was to unite all clinical officers, physician assistant, clinical associates. There are almost 26 titles in different names spread across the different countries in the world. So we really want to bring you people together so that when you go to the United States or when you go to Malaysia, when you introduce yourself in Malaysia as a clinical officer, then the board there or any Malaysian medical assistant or assistant medical officer will know that this person that I'm dealing with is a clinical officer. So that is the first thing that we are doing. We are coming up with a common name, and we are heading there. And I want to say that I appreciate everyone who is here. The journey has begun, and I want to thank Rwanda for hosting us. We will announce our next host today because we have discussed that. But I want to welcome everybody to this event. I don't have much to say because I will have time to talk about the history of GACOPA if you look at the program there. But what I want to appreciate my executives, the GACOPA executives, all the delegates, the presidents of the the president of all the associations that are here. I also want to recognize the presence of registrars from different countries where clinical officers, physician assistants, clinical associates are based. I want to thank the University of Rwanda for having, apart from hosting us, the journey began at the University of Rwanda. This journey that culminated to this conference started at the University of Rwanda when the students in the University of Rwanda called upon me before our first conference in Ghana to come and address them in a small workshop that was organized by the president of the Student Association. So when we went there, we shared a lot, and we told them that we will still come back. And I'm so much happy that this is the first gathering for this kind of cadre that has attracted more than 300 delegates. It has never happened in the history, in any history. I can say it has never happened in the world. It only happens to the medical officers and the nurses and those other cadres. So the unity begins today, and I want to urge everyone here that when we go back home, let us preach unity. Let us bring all the clinical officers, the clinical associates, the physician assistant. Maybe one day the name will change and it will be one name. We are also pushing so that we have WHO recognition and maybe common curriculum. So those are the agendas that we will be discussing moving forward. But I want to appreciate everyone who is here. I can't mention them by name. And as I said, I don't always write speeches. I can just talk, and we discuss. It's like a discussion. Some of the delegates I know are coming, but GACOPA is we are so much thankful to the Ministry of Health, Rwanda, the Rwanda Convention Bureau, and this event would have not been a success if that avenue, every country has got its own way of doing things. So you have to conform, or you have to align yourself to each and every country on the way they're doing things. To the clinical officers in Rwanda, I know you are around 500. I know you are well trained and well equipped. Your curriculum and that compared to the clinical medicine training in East Africa is similar. So there's just a bit of fine-tuning that will be done. And I'm happy the registrar of the Clinical Officers Council of Kenya is here. The registrar of the Uganda Allied Health Professions Council is here. We also have the registrar of the Rwanda Allied Health Professions Council. And Tanzania, there is a representative from the Ministry of Health, Tanzania. So, and Burundi is also here. So it's a full house here. And when the panel for discussion, when we'll be having the panelists, one of the discussion will be curriculum, and it will be discussed extensively so that we move forward as East Africa, as Africa, and as the world. So I think I still have some time, and as we move to the next agenda, I would like to introduce, yesterday we had an International Executive Council meeting for GACOPA, because you realize that any association or any institution must have a working team, and they must have structures. They must have things like the constitution. So I want to reiterate here that Malaysia is one of our new entrants to GACOPA, and the team from Malaysia, there are 7. The union, the association, and the Malaysia Assistant Medical Board are all here, and they are given that permission to come to Rwanda by the Ministry of Health, Malaysia. And realize that Malaysia is one of the fastest growing country when it comes to issues of health. They have a very well organized health system, and we have to learn from Malaysia. So my team from Malaysia now will get your time here, and you will speak to us so that we also learn and will benchmark. I know next week you're having a medical assistant week where close to 2,000 medical assistants will be attending, and you have to create your time. Like Zulheni, who is the chair of the organizing team in Malaysia, had to leave everything and come to this conference in Rwanda. And we are also going to do the same. Next week we are coming to Kuala Lumpur. I know it is in Penang. We are coming to attend that conference, and we are going to be with you, and the journey has begun. So Team Malaysia, we appreciate you. We also appreciate Papua New Guinea, though the representation failed to catch up with the air ticket. Papua New Guinea have also joined us. We have also been joined by Ethiopia, and the president of the Ethiopia Health Officers Association sent the vice president, who is called Fitsum Tai, and is here with us. So we have also a team from United States, and we'll keep on mentioning that. We'll keep on mentioning Professor Lisa, Professor Mare, NCCPA. Those are things that we should be having them at our fingertips. When you hear someone talking about the NCCPA, that is the regulatory body for the United States, where I guess there are more than 200,000 physician assistants in the United States. And our Dr. Morton Riaz, who is the president of the board, is here with us, and she will get time and will talk about how they do the regulation, and if maybe someone from Malaysia would like to come to maybe USA, and what are the requirements? What do you need to do before you are regulated? And I'm happy about that. There is also a team from Kenya. I also want to say that when it comes to issues of, I don't want to, we are using these clinical officers and physician assistants because they constitute the majority in terms of numbers in this cadre that we are in. So we don't want to mention all the 26 titles. We sum them up as clinical officers and physician assistants. So if you're a health officer, if you're a clinical associate, if you're a health extension officer, medical assistant, you are part of this team. That is why our theme there is maximizing the impact of clinical officers and physician assistants in achieving universal health care. And I believe that when that time comes, you will realize the role played by clinical officers and what they do and their impact to the society. Like, I can just cite some example where clinical officers or the physician assistant training, there's a tremendous job that is being done there. If you look at Kenya, there are around 22,000 clinical officers, and almost 80% of all the patients being seen in the Republic of Kenya are seen by the clinical officers. It's also the same in Tanzania and the same in Uganda. So we play a very, very big important role, and that discussion will come at its right time. I just want to appreciate our team here. We also brought in Zambia to the GACOPA executive, and the president of the Clinical Officers Association of Zambia is here. I also want to acknowledge the Minister for Health in Nairobi County, and also members of County Assembly from the county of from Kenya. You realize that Kenya has got devolved unit, and health in Kenya is devolved. That is why when we talk about health in Kenya, it is not Kenya as a whole. A county, health is devolved, they do the recruitment, they do the training, everything. So when you find maybe a county like Migori, where I come from, they have a small parliament where they even, it's headed by the speaker, and there's also the governor who is the president of that county. It's like a state. So some of us here, some of the people who are attending here are honorable members, chairs of the health committees of different county assemblies in Kenya. And I can say that there are three from Kenya, the chair of Health Committee Migori, chair of Health Committee West Pokot. They are not only coming to this conference to attend this conference, but they're also coming to benchmark on how the health system in Rwanda, which is regarded as one of the best in Africa, how they do it. So I appreciate everyone here. I want to introduce my executive. If they are here, they can stand, plus the ones that were newly brought in. They can just stand, and maybe I just mention them by names as we move forward. So yeah, you can just stand. Solomon Chomba is from Malawi. He's the president of the Malawi Physician Assistant Union, and is representing Malawi. You can see Annette Kara is the secretary of the Uganda Medical Clinical Officers Organization, and she's also the deputy organizing secretary for GACOPA. Angeline Masido, who we will be going with to Malaysia, is the secretary of Nairobi branch and the founding executive of GACOPA. Zul Helmi is here, the chief policy and strategy in the Ministry of Health, Malawi, and Medical Assistant Board. Malaysia. And the chairman or the president of the Malaysia Medical Assistant Association, Mr. Mustafa. Thank you so much. He's also part of our team. So Ken Ochogia, who is the MC, we didn't want to get an MC from somewhere, but this thing is a family. So Ken Ochogia is a founding executive member, is the GACOPA Kenya chairman. I know others are still coming, but I appreciate the team. Thank you. Some maybe are busy with the activities. And lastly, I want to appreciate my good friend from Kenya, who is a physician assistant. He came to Kenya, and I met him at my workplace, and he introduced himself as a PA from the United States, who was registered by the Clinical Officers Council of Kenya. And I told him to join us, and he's here today. So thank you so much, and may God bless you. We will allow another time that we will discuss. Thank you.